She married him just to get back at his son. Frank Calloway stood outside the DMV, staring down at the marriage certificate. His worn flannel jacket damp from the rain. He never thought this was coming. He never thought any of it was planned. A 55-year-old man picking up his granddaughter. That was supposed to be the whole story. Until a young woman showed up at the same school. And his quiet life started cracking open. Who was she really? And why did she choose him? Hit subscribe and stay with me, because this one will keep you up at night. Frank Calloway had lived in the same house in Dayton, Ohio for over 30 years. A small 2-bedroom on Maple Street, with a screen door that never closed right. He was the kind of man nobody noticed. Salt and pepper hair always combed neat. Eyes that were warm but never pushed in. He kept an old stainless steel travel mug in the front pocket of his jacket every day. His late wife Linda had given it to him. He filled it with hot water every morning before he left the house. His son Derek ran a small contracting business on the east side of town. He called maybe once a week, usually to ask how Lily was doing in school. Never to ask how Frank was doing. Frank never mentioned it. His whole life had become the school run, the grocery store and the front porch. 3 years of that. And he stopped expecting more. Megan Shaw first showed up on a Tuesday, standing near the school parking lot, in a grey knit sweater and plain jeans. Hair pulled back loose with a few strands falling. She was staring at nothing in particular. Like someone waiting but not really expecting anything. Frank glanced over and looked away. She seemed tired. The same kind of tired he recognized in himself. He found out later she was a single mom. Her son Noah was in the same class as Lily. The two kids started walking out together. And just like that, Frank and Megan ended up standing on the same sidewalk every afternoon. Sometimes talking, sometimes not. Like two plants in neighboring pots, growing separate but close enough to touch. It started with a rainstorm on a Friday. Frank was waiting under the school overhang. Megan pulled into the lot on her bike, completely soaked through. Her bag half open and everything inside wet. Frank handed her his umbrella without thinking. She stared at it for a second before taking it, said thank you and went quiet. They stood under the overhang together, watching the rain come down in sheets. She asked him out of nowhere, "Does it ever get boring doing this every day?" Frank thought about it and said, "You get used to it." She said, "I got used to it too. But getting used to something is not the same as being okay with it." That hit Frank somewhere he had not felt in years. Over the next 2 weeks things shifted slowly. She started stopping at the same grocery store. Sometimes she would grab an extra rotisserie chicken and hand it to him in the parking lot. Said they had a deal going, so she got 2. Frank always said you did not have to do that, and always took it anyway. The kids noticed before the adults did. Noah started calling Frank Mr. Frank. Lily started saving a granola bar for Noah. The 4 of them began walking to the corner together. Frank and Megan a few steps behind, talking longer each time. Derek came by one afternoon unannounced. Saw his father walking with a young woman. Slowed down behind the wheel. His expression changed for just a second. Then he pulled up and said, "Nothing about it." Just grabbed Lily and drove off faster than usual. Frank did not catch the look on his son's face. And even if he had, he would not have known what it meant. All he knew was that the walk home that evening, felt shorter than it had in a long time. What he did not know was that when Megan watched him walk away, there was something in her eyes. That was not warmth. It was patience. The kind you have when you are waiting for something to finally fall into place. Things changed at the Saturday farmers' market. Megan had asked if he wanted to bring the kids. Said Noah had been begging to go for weeks. Frank could not think of a reason to say no. The four of them walked through the stalls. Noah and Lily ran ahead to the kettle corn stand. Frank and Megan followed slowly behind. The smell of fresh bread and apple cider around them. Morning light coming through the trees. Frank looked over and then looked away quickly. Did not say anything. She asked him out of nowhere. Have you ever thought about not being alone? Frank was quiet for a long time. Then said he figured that ship had sailed. She smiled at the ground and said, being older does not mean you stop needing people. Frank did not sleep well that night. Over the next month the two families overlapped more. Megan started bringing food when she came over. She would put leftovers in Frank's fridge. Say you will never eat it all yourself, just keep it. It was the first time someone else's food had been in that refrigerator in 3 years. Frank started paying attention to what he wore. Pushed the old flannel to the back of the closet. Put on a darker shirt instead. Stood in the bathroom mirror staring at his grey hair. For longer than he wanted to admit. Left it the way it was. Derek called and said, Dad, come on, be realistic. She is half your age, what are you thinking? Frank said, I hear you. And ended the call. He knew how it looked from the outside. He knew what Derek was worried about. He told himself to slow down and be smart. But that fridge with her food in it, and the sound of footsteps beside him on the sidewalk, made the house feel warm in a way he had almost forgotten was possible. 2 months later Megan came over on a Sunday. She sat down at the kitchen table. And without any build-up she asked him if he would consider making this official. Frank's travel mug slipped in his hand. Hot water spilled across the table. He asked her why him. She said, because you are the only person on this whole street who never asked me for anything. Frank looked at her for a long moment. Her eyes were clear and steady. No cracks showing anywhere. He said yes. The day they went to the courthouse, Megan wore a simple cream-colored dress. Hair down for the first time Frank had seen. She looked like a completely different person. Frank realized he had mostly seen her one way. And barely knew this version at all. A neighbor from down the block spotted Frank outside. They made eye contact and looked away. Frank kept his head down and went inside, holding the travel mug tight. That evening Derek stopped by unannounced, carrying a stack of his grandmother's ceramic plates. Said he had found them in storage. Thought Frank might want them back in the house. He pushed open the front door and saw Megan sitting at the kitchen table, holding the same bowl Frank used every morning. The plates hit the hardwood floor, ceramic cracking apart in every direction. The sound cut through the whole house. Lily ran out from the hallway. Froze when she saw the pieces on the floor. Derek stared at Megan. His mouth opened and closed twice before any sound came out. He said, "What are you doing here?" Megan set down the bowl, looked at him without flinching. Said, "We got married today." Frank stood in the kitchen doorway, watching his son's face change twice in 1 second. He had no idea what was happening. Derek pulled Frank into the hallway, voice low and shaking. Megan was his girlfriend in college. He ended it when he got a job offer out of state. Told her she was holding him back. Married his current wife 4 months later. Never looked back. Frank stood there and listened to all of it. Did not move. He turned and looked at Megan. She was standing in the middle of the living room. The cream dress under the lamplight looked worn now. Her eyes were different than before. The steadiness was gone. What was underneath looked like something that had been pressed down for a very long time. She did not explain herself. She did not apologize. She just looked at Frank and said, "If you want me to leave, I will go right now." Frank looked down at the travel mug in his hand and said nothing. Frank sat on the back porch until 4 in the morning. The neighborhood was dead quiet. Just the sound of a distant highway and the occasional car turning onto Maple Street. He held the travel mug in both hands. Did not open it. He kept coming back to the same thought. After Linda died, nobody checked on him. Nobody noticed when he stopped eating real meals. Nobody asked if he was doing okay. And then Megan showed up. And all of that just quietly stopped. Frank was not naive about what had happened. He understood what she had come here to do. But he also understood something else. A person carrying 10 years of hurt does not get close to just anyone. The next morning he came downstairs. Megan was in the kitchen running the kettle. Her back to him. Hair still messy from sleeping. Her socks sliding a little on the old linoleum. Frank set the travel mug down on the counter beside her. Did not say anything. Just waited for the water to boil. Megan picked up the mug. Filled it all the way. Screwed the lid on tight and handed it back. Her fingers brushed the back of his hand. And stopped there for just a second. Frank took the mug. Turned toward the door. Put on his old flannel jacket. And went to pick up Lily from school. A relationship can start for the wrong reasons. But the realness of what happens inside it is not something you can fake. Frank knew why Megan had come. He also knew every meal she had cooked. Every bag of groceries she had carried in. Every evening they had walked side by side. Was something that actually happened. And could not be taken back. Some people walk into your life carrying damage. They come in with a plan. And somewhere along the way, the plan stops being the point. Revenge needs anger to survive. But anger burns through everything eventually. And what is left when it is gone is the only part that was ever real. If you were Frank in that moment, knowing everything he knew, would you have stayed or walked away? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to hear what you think.